Spurs opened up Las Vegas Summer League by putting a whooping on the Philadelphia 76ers with a 111-70 victory. Number 2 overall pick Dylan Harper did not play for the Spurs last night, but is expected to make his Spurs debut when they return to action tomorrow at 3 against number 1 overall pick Cooper Flagg and the Dallas Mavericks. In Major League Baseball, the Rangers beat the Angels 11-4 in their series finale. Up next, they open up a series with the Astros in Houston, which starts tonight. A game you can catch on your home for the Rangers San Antonio Sports Star starting at 6:30. Speaking of the Astros, they're calling up their number 1 overall prospect Bryce Matthews to join the team. He's hit .283 with 10 homers this season in AAA.
This is Extra Innings with Pleasure.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Rock and roll! The Texans win it!
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
That ball is history! A walk-off home run!
And it's going to be legendary.
James Pledger wraps your day with insight, opinion, plenty of sarcasm, and of course, your calls. He'll even pour a beer out the door for his favorite story of the day. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. Now, here's Pledge. What's up, gang?
Welcome into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pledger. Thanks for joining me. However you may be joining me, whether that's 94.1 on your FM dial, if you happen to be locked in listening at sasportstar.com, be our AA Best Bail Bonds audio player, or if you're watching the show live on YouTube, that's right. We stream all of our shows on YouTube, whether that's the Morning Huddle, the Blitz, or right here on Extra Innings with Pleasure. It gives you a chance to comment along with the show and engage in the comments section. Appreciate everybody that's already in there, or if you just want to call in the old-fashioned way, 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776. You're always welcome to join that way as well. But lots to get into tonight, not much time because Silver Boot Series getting underway. 6:30 pregame, Astros hosting the Rangers. You can catch it right here. Rangers with the split of the Angels. Astros swept by the Guardians coming into tonight's series. So it's going to be a fun weekend series for the Houston Astros. And look, TGI Friday, I'd love to tell y'all. Maybe I'll tell y'all about it over beers at the Rue Pub one night. But can't really discuss on the radio what happened in Oxnard that has banished me to the glass box of fun for forevermore. But it'll be a good time. If you run into me at the Rue, go ahead and ask me. I don't mind what's going on there. But I will tell you this. Cowboys training camp's just a few weeks away, and the Jim Beam Beach House will be rocking for Dallas Cowboys training camp coverage, which is brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds. And it is a fun time down there. Lots of fun, but also lots of work, lots of information gathered during our time in Oxnard every year. And it's going to be very interesting because it is Brian Schottenheimer's first as the head coach. What's it going to be like? What are the vibes going to be like? What is the practice schedule going to be like? How are these things going to be handled? Well, a couple of different people joined the Blitz today to talk about that, but one of my favorite people of all time, former co-host of mine of the Saturday Morning Hangover, RJ Ochoa, was on with Jason a little bit earlier today to talk about what to expect from Brian Schottenheimer's first Oxnard training camp.
RJ Ochoa on the Buyers Barricades guest line. Forks up. Happy Friday, my friend.
That's right. Forks up. Go Gators. And I guess I should say now that Happy Gilmore is a Bruins fan. And so he and I park our cars in the same garage in that sense. I actually told you when I went and saw the Bruins play the Wild that I wanted a cap, partly, to plant my flag and pick a favorite team, but also literally because Happy Gilmore wore one. So, that's my why.
And again, you have studied all the Boston Bruins history. You've probably could name 8 players, but that's
there's the one picture of that guy diving, that Bobby Orr.
Bobby Orr. Yes.
Hey.
Yes. That's like saying Roger Staubach was great back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was that guy that threw the Hail Mary? Was it Roger?
Yeah. He was in the Army, I believe. So
go Navy, yeah. Beat Army. You understand the assignment. RJ, obviously it's been an interesting offseason for the Cowboys after last year, all of last year, from losing to the Packers in the playoffs, not doing anything in the offseason, to Mike McCarthy being a lame duck head coach. When we got to Oxnard, and we talked about it in Oxnard, it was just weird, and the season was weird. This offseason has been completely different, yet there's still seems to be a slight degree of fan apathy, and I'm not sure if it's apathy or, man, I'm just not sure if I want to jump in. I'm dipping my toe in the water, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think it would be awesome to be the Packers and know that you broke a team the way that they broke the Cowboys, right? Like this team, I don't know when they got reassembled. I don't know if they technically are, but at the very least, to your point, it felt like the front office started to at least pick up the pieces this offseason. They just left them on the floor all of last calendar year. I've been covering this team professionally for a decade. I've obviously been a fan of them all my life. I can't tell you another year that was like last year. It was willful, intentional, consciously driven toxicity that surrounded the team at every turn. And also, to your point, I think that there's a callousness for people. I don't know anyone who, and I say this, really with great respect for how you live, that enjoys football season like you do, right? Like, football season is such a part of your life and other people's lives, and how you delegate your plans. And we're going to go here, and we're going to pregame here, and we're going to this, and we're going to catch this game before so we can be there and catch the Uber, whatever. And I think that some of that stuff just like fell on the priority for people last year. I think it was the coupling of how they lost and the toxicity that the front office kind of stirred into the pot. And that, I mean, dude, we're coming up on the 30-year anniversary. I think people, like, they only know this way of life. At least there's an entire generation and then some that have lived this way. And so I think people are reluctant to believe because they've already had all their friends make all the jokes at their expense, and they're just kind of tired of the same old song and dance.
RJ Ochoa, bloggingtheboys.com here on the Blitz on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. I totally get the Cowboys are a different animal than every other NFL franchise that's out there. The drought, the expectations. I do think the Cowboys will be a lot better this year than last year, although hard not to be if Dak is healthy. I mean, Dak could end up winning Comeback Player of the Year, which is an award nobody really wants to win, but because that means it was really bad the year before, right? But at the same time, I think a lot of Cowboy fans are realistic about where they are. Cautiously optimistic might be the word. Philadelphia, you look at the NFC East, it's in the rules. You can't have a repeat winner. But is Washington going to regress a little bit? All those one-score games they won last year, are they losses this year? Does Jaden Daniels have a sophomore slump? But I do think the biggest questions, we don't know enough about Brian Schottenheimer as a head coach to really know how good is he going to be, not only as a head coach, but a play caller.
Yeah, it is strange how, and I know you recall the night they hired him. I mean, that was like DEFCON 1. I mean, that was truly, our pets' heads are falling off levels of panic. And nothing really happened to change that, like between then and this moment. Yet everywhere you look, there's all this optimism. I guess the thing that happened is he had a chance to sit behind a microphone and, he kind of, oohed and awed, and we're all kind of like, humana, Brian, like, what more can you say? How else can you dazzle us? And that's just like the CEO part of the job that Jason Garrett was fit to handle. To your point, again, the guy has talked about, like, cuts and motions, and that's got people tripping all over themselves, and that's cool, but we have no actual data to support this. Like, we have simply looked at the menu, and it's one of those like fancy schmancy ones that doesn't have any pictures, right? Like, we have no idea what we're about to be served. And in a couple of weeks' time, that will change to some degree, because training camp will start to kind of blow some of the dust off this thing. But I mean, it's also unique because he hasn't called plays in an extremely long time. It is as unorthodox of a situation as you can unfold. I mean, Jerry has truly outdone himself with a Kobayashi Maru in this particular. I know you know exactly what that is.
Now, sure. The guy that eats off the kids' menu because he needs pictures to order food. RJ, when you look at that, and I'm with you, I was not excited at all about Brian Schottenheimer when he was hired. I wasn't excited about the coaching search that Jerry had. But this offseason, Schottenheimer has changed my mind. I get how he won over Jerry and Steven in the interview process. And granted, they knew him. And I think about the guy that I've seen the last couple of years as an assistant. And when you're an assistant, it's different, right? I mean, it's kind of like watching Dan Quinn when he was the defensive coordinator. And I know I was sitting in Oxnard with you and we were like, man, look at how intense he is in these defensive drills. How is he going to be different as a head coach becomes the biggest question. Everybody that I talk to in Dallas say that at least to this point, the Shoddy that we knew is the Shoddy that is still today. The head coaching job hasn't changed him.
Yeah, and I mean, to his credit, I mean, he has. You can't do anything through July 11th, right? But the things that you can do, he has done, right? Like if we acknowledge that none of this matters in the grand scheme, he is still of the tests being put in front of him, he is passing them with flying colors. And who knows? I mean, maybe they truly did stumble into things, right? Like the greatest story ever told is the Fellowship of the Ring. Frodo was this, feeble, small creature and wound up being the most important, most critical to delivering the entire world from evil relative to the way that Tolkien kind of laid it out. And so I don't know if Brian Schottenheimer is our Frodo. I've always thought that Dak was. That the story just kind of made more sense that way. But it is easy to see how a room can fall for this guy, can fall in love with him. I think the thing that has impressed me the most about him is I have not really ever heard him talk about his father from a inspirational standpoint. And I say that with respect. Obviously, that the man has an incredible amount of respect for his father, one of the greatest coaches in NFL history. But I've heard him talk more about Pete Carroll and Steve Spurrier and the football influences that they were on his life as opposed to his father, which is just, you're not kind of used to hearing things. In fact, Mike McCarthy talked more about Marty Schottenheimer's football influence on him than Brian has, which just, again, part of the unique nature that this particular man is to be the team's head coach.
Although I do think my opinion, when I references like that, because he's trying to be his own man and not Marty's son.
Right.
And I get that. I think it's very conscious on his part and probably smart. But at the same time, he's got to be his own, references to Marty ball. Are we going to see him run the ball? Is he going to be like his dad or is he going to be on his own? Are they going to use the passing game to open up the run game or vice versa? Now I look at the running backs that they have, and then you add in a George Pickens. I'm thinking they're going to use the pass game to open up the run game.
Yeah, Bill Danaher is one of the greatest coaches to ever live, but you don't have to run the ball a million times to be able to effectively run the ball. You don't have to set up the pass. That's kind of an antiquated view of play action or modern offenses. It's often said that play action is the passing game setting up the run, the way that you just did. And, Mina Kimes is so smart. She made this point this week on our podcast that not that it doesn't matter who the running back is for the Cowboys, but that it's a much more, malleable thing when you have threats like CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens opening things up. You can stack the box against the Cowboys. Now, to be fair, people weren't stacking the box against Zeke Elliott last year, and that wasn't helping him in any sort of way. Like you have to have competent players back there. And I don't know that any of them are incompetent, but I don't know who the most competent is right now. It's a weird kind of grab bag of, is Javonte Williams going to be like, because I think right now, if I came back from the future and told you, hey, Jason, Javonte Williams led the team in carries, or Miles Sanders did, or Jaden Blue did, or heck, Phil Moffitt did, I think any of those potential realities are all conceivable. I think you can see one path for each of them, which is why it's weird that we're not super confident. We're just in this kind of state of tentativeness overall relative to the position.
RJ Ochoa from bloggingtheboys.com joining us here on the Blitz on 94.1 at San Antonio Sports Star. Obviously, offense is always the storylines. Defense was bad last year. And granted, injuries had a lot to do with that and reasons or excuses, but especially the defensive line. The run defense wasn't good at all. And if you're watching Quarterback on Netflix, you realize all three of the quarterbacks featured torched the Dallas Cowboys. And so you see a lot of bad Cowboy defense when you're watching quarterback on Netflix. So if you're a Cowboy fan, it sometimes can be a tough watch. Have they done enough in your mind on the defensive side, whether it's the influence that Matt Eberflus is going to have or the personnel that they brought in, to see significant upgrades from that defensive unit?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all would love, obviously, if DeMarvion Overshown were healthy, and I think you have to probably assume that he's not going to play at all. And if he does, you just kind of treat that as icing on the cake. But it's the Micah Parsons show, and I don't often believe in addition by subtraction. And I hate to frame the DeMarcus Lawrence departure that way. I really do not care what he said on his way out. I don't think any less of him, whatever. But I recall before he left, before free agency, around the Super Bowl, Micah had a post, and he noted, like, look, we're going to have some guys leaving that are going to kind of open the door. We just kind of need this fresh blood. And I don't think that DeMarcus or Zach Martin or Tyron Smith were failures, but I do think that this group, and specifically this defense, has just kind of been in need of just moving the furniture around type of thing. And I think that that's what happens with DeMarcus Lawrence leaving. This is Micah's show. This is Micah and Trayvon Diggs. They are not only the best players on the defense, they're the elder statesmen, and there are now opportunities for new young bucks, the Marshawn Nealons of the world, and the newbies like, Jack Sanborn is kind of an underrated free agent signing. And the trades, I don't know how well Kyrie Elam's going to play. I know he's a Florida Gator, so I trust that immensely as of late. I don't know what Kenneth Murray is going to be like, but I know that they raise the floor a lot. And when you raise the floor and you have perennial home run hitters like Micah Parsons, I trust you to be serviceable when Dak Prescott's leading the offense on the other side of things.
And that's a great point, because you've got Dak Prescott, George Pickens, and CeeDee Lamb with Jake Ferguson, a totally revamped offensive line. And I love what they've done. They've added edge rushers, Donovan Ezraku, Dante Fowler, bringing him back to pair with Micah Parsons on the other side. So I think that negates the loss of a DeMarcus Lawrence. And I do think, because of how good Matt Eberflus was as a linebackers coach, bringing in a Sanborn, I think the linebacking core is going to get better, which is going to make the run defense better. And I have probably higher expectations than most for the Dallas Cowboys this upcoming season as it pertains to the moves they've made. And I really like the Brian Schottenheimer. Now, we have to see it on the field. We have to see what his offense looks like, and if he falls into any patterns or routines that are going to get exposed, with whether it's running the football, trying to run the football to set up the pass, or vice versa, or if he's going to be very nebulous with it and just effectively be able to run the football in certain situations. And it's going to be very interesting to see. I also like the revamp running back room. I don't think it's world beating by any stretch of the matter, but I do like Phil Maffa and Jamin Blue as kind of lottery tickets as you head into this year, with a couple of guys. Miles Sanders, a former 1,000-yard back in this league. Javonte Williams was an up-and-coming running back before his injury, and now maybe he's far enough removed from said injury to get back to that form. Have to see it on the field, but just looking at it aesthetically from the outside without having seen it on the field, I like the additions. I like what they talk about with their culture, and I think that's big. And as Spurs fans, we know all about culture and what it means to an organization. It's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen this upcoming season and what this thing looks like here in a couple of weeks at training camp. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger, right here on San Antonio Sports Star. Well, Spurs had a summer league game last night, and man, did it look good. We'll discuss coming up next right here on Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 San Antonio Sports Star and the Gomez Law Firm present the second annual Back to School Drive, Saturday, August 2nd from 11 till 1, or while supplies last, at the Gomez Law Firm, 2943 Moss Rock Drive. Free backpacks and school supplies for all school-age children while supplies last. So don't be late. Saturday, August 2nd, 11 till 1. Presented by the Gomez Law Firm, 2943 Moss Rock Drive. Sponsored in part by Las Palapas, Array, the College of Healthcare Professionals, and 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
The John Clay Wolf Show. Here's what's going on in the Wolf Pack.
Satan, are you there?
Yeah.
So, you did the Metallica backwards lyrics.
Yeah.
Did you do Missy's backwards lyrics?
She and I were talking, just hanging, keeping it real.
Keeping it real, huh?
I said, you should put a backwards message in there. And she asked me, is that really going to work? I said show.
The John Clay Wolf Show.
Catch the John Clay Wolf Show Saturdays from 9 a.m. to noon right here on San Antonio Sports Star.
George Gets Justice. It's you versus them. The driver who changed your life. The insurance company dodging your calls. They want to give you up. At George Salinas Injury Lawyers, they take on insurance giants and they fight to win. No upfront costs, no games. Just the fight for results. If you've been injured, it's time to get George. Call George Salinas Injury Lawyers at 210-225-0909 or visit getgeorge.com. George Gets Justice. GetGeorge.com.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust. Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything from making the claim to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits. A $2,000 value, free.
Call for your fast free quote today. Call 800-2007. That's 800-298-2007. 800-298-2007.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
It's Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pledger. Thanks for joining me as I send you off into the weekend in style. Don't forget, in a few minutes, we got Rangers Astros, bottom of the hour, coming up right here on your home for the Texas Rangers, San Antonio Sports Star. But the San Antonio Spurs, they made a statement in their Las Vegas Summer League opener. And it was a statement from most of the starters being there courtside to watch the game to how they played once they got out there. And one of the things that I took away from the game, other than the Chupacabra continuing to look great, was the defensive effort put out by the entire squad. And they actually talked about it, and it's kind of started with Carter Bryant. Carter Bryant looked amazing defensively during that game, and offense still making its way around. But, you know, they even interviewed Carter during the game, and he talked about what sets him apart as a defender?
I think just my willingness to just defend anybody. I don't care if you're 7 foot 280. I don't care if you're 6 foot 120 pounds. So I think for me, I just try to do whatever I can to win a basketball game, whatever the coaching staff needs me to do.
And that's very important. And the switchability that he will provide, I do think that ability helps him to be more impactful on this Spurs roster coming up. I'm not comparing him to Kawhi Leonard, but in the same vein as Kawhi is his rookie year, he played defense, and they made him let him take shots when he was open. He wasn't Kawhi when he first stepped onto the court, but he defended well and he earned playing time by doing that. I can see a similar path for Carter Bryant to minutes early in his career. And Spurs Summer League head coach Mike Noyes, he talked about that defense, and he singled out one guy in particular.
Team defense was great. Our starting lineup really set the tone. I thought everyone who checked into the game was on the same page. We had a good scout this morning, good shoot around, so everyone was prepared. And then Carter played excellent, and don't care how many points he scored. He was worried about the right things. He focused on defense, and it was great to see him smiling out there today. He was having fun.
And that's going to be very important, because I don't think that was the part of getting Kelly Olynyk and Luke Cornett and, Carter Bryant. They're looking for guys that can fit into roles that don't need the ball, because they've got enough of those guys on this roster. And I think that's going to be very important as we transition into this season, is having guys with clearly defined roles. And if you don't fit into your roles, you may not be on this team much longer. This has been Extra Innings with Pleasure. Call your loved ones, check on them, make sure that they're doing all right. You never know what people are going through in life. We will see you back here Monday. We got Rangers Astros coming up next here on San Antonio Sports Star.
Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.
Injuries happen, and when they do, skip the ER and get to the Ortho Now Injury Clinic by TSAOG Orthopedics and Spine. Ortho Now provides walk-in care for injuries like broken bones, dislocations, sprains, and strains. Conveniently located in the Corey area with extended hours Monday through Saturday.